Good morning and welcome. Today is Friday, June 12th. A joy to welcome you to this daily devotion that I have done for the last 3 months, and a beautiful day outside. I encourage you to either open the windows or go outside and smell the fresh air, walk around your building and enjoy the great outdoors that God has created for all of us. So today I am going to read 2 verses, very short verses from Paul's first letter, from Peter's first letter, chapter 5, verses 5 and 6 and 7. Hear these words now. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that he may exalt you in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Because he cares for you. Christ does care for all of us, and God is always with us. So today I'm going to speak something about spiritual discernment. Spiritual discernment through life is one way which we can find guidance and support. In a book entitled The Emerging Christian Way by Nancy Reeves, she describes spiritual discernment. I quote, "Spiritual discernment is one way we find our spiritual journey through this life. Spiritual discernment decision-making is quite different from spiritual discernment. In decision-making spiritual discernment, we use the talents and skills within us to make a particular choice. We may do this alone or with other people. Spiritual discernment implies that God is always involved in the process and choice, and leaves room for messages or leadings from the Holy One, God. Of course, God is always present, so it's not possible to do anything without God. Yet our free will allows us to ignore divine nudges and leadings from God. By intentionally growing our spiritual discernment muscle, by developing a constant attitude of discernment, each of our decisions will draw on the infinite well of love and grace that is ours because we know God and through God's Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Our Christianity will be transformed. Each action will help build the city of God around us and within us. There's a legend, a fable, if you will, about a missionary. And the legend goes that this missionary was lost at sea. And by chance he washed up out of the sea on the edge of a very remote island that had a native village, half dead from starvation and exposure to seawater. He was found by the people of the village and was nursed back to full health. He lived with these natives for 20 years. Now, during this time, he confessed no faith, he uttered no songs, he did not preach sermons or recite scriptures to the natives. No, he made no personal faith claim to them, but rather, when people were hungry, he gave them food, and when people were lonely, he was a source of company. He taught the ignorant. He was a source of enlightenment and love to those who were needed to find love and enlightenment. He always took the side of those who had been wronged. He brought healing and wholeness to the entire village, always in a quiet and faithful manner. And after 20 years had passed, missionaries came from the sea to the village of natives, and they began to speak about Jesus and all he could do for them. And they began to tell natives about how Jesus heals and loves everyone. Immediately, the natives said that this man whom they spoke about, this man named Jesus, was already living among them. "Come," the natives said, "and let us introduce you to this man about whom you have been speaking." There in his hut, the people were introduced to this missionary whom they thought was lost at sea some 20 years ago. Following Christ means embodying the love of God. We all desire to be transformed by the love of God and the love of Christ, especially when we are home during this pandemic and what is happening in our country and in our world right now. Real transformation does not come from manipulating people or events. Real transformation does not come from our government or even our places of work. I believe transformation comes when we realize that the Spirit of God is already resting upon us and within us. And when we open ourselves up to this inner working and awakening of our hearts and minds to the power of God working through each and every one of us. We are all born with the Spirit of God within us, so let it flourish this day. Have a wonderful Friday, and we will look forward to seeing you this Sunday morning in worship at 10 a.m. Thank you. Have a good day.